Hello and welcome to the Epilogue with Sihle Bolani. On today's show, we're going to be discussing a topic that's very close to my heart because it's something that I experienced within the corporate environment. We're going to be talking about bullying. And joining me on today's show to help us unpack the topic a bit more is Phindile Mabasa, who is a clinical psychologist. Phindile, thank you so much for joining us on the show today.
Thanks for having me, Sihle.
So just for our viewers to get a better understanding, what forms does bullying take within the work environment?
There are different kinds of forms that take place in the work environment, and I think the first one would be criticism. When an employee is criticized for not doing their job, whereas they are doing their job.
Right.
So the bully would always be criticizing everything that the employee does,
Right.
and whether work-related, not work-related, so they would be doing that. Also, overworking the employee. So if we are 5 in the department and I'm the only one who has to do 10 accounts or 10 cases, and then everyone else has 1 file or 1 account, so that could also be considered as bullying. And I think also in the workplace, especially corporate, it's a bit subtle, it's not aggressive, so it would be your hidden behaviors, behaviors like Pindi, you're gonna work overtime and then the others can go home. When you're supposed to be going on leave, Sihle can take leave, but Pindi cannot take leave. And without any reason why you can't take leave at this present moment. And also, we're starting to see a lot of sabotage in the corporate environment, where I do something and then another employee sabotages it so that they can get ahead. So remember, in corporate, it's mostly about getting ahead. I bully you so that I can be on top. So people sabotage each other in the corporate world. And also stealing another person's ideas is also considered bullying. When I do something and then Sihle takes my ideas, presents it to the board as
their own. Right.
So that's another form of bullying. So bullying in the corporate sector, it's a lot of behaviors. It's a lot. That's why it's very important for people to read on what is bullying, so that you know when you experience it that, okay, now I am being bullied. Because when bullying comes, when you say I've been bullied, I'm thinking someone punched me or someone choked me. But then in the corporate sector, it's less aggressive, and it's those kinds of behaviors where you are being punished, even if you're doing your job.
Right. And I think one of the things that catches a lot of people off in terms of defining their experience as bullying is there's this concept that bullying only happens at school. And when you're an adult, it's not supposed to happen anymore. Or how can I be bullied when I'm such a grown-up, or I'm such a strong person, or I'm a man?
I'm a professional.
You know, how can I say that I'm being bullied? Do people associate a humiliation perhaps with that, and that might make them perhaps try to redefine their experience?
I think it can be humiliation, also not knowing what bullying is. Because remember, for something to come to light, you have to know that actually this is bullying. So if you don't know that this is bullying, then you go to work and experience all these feelings. You feel anxious, you feel depressed, you don't want to go to work, but you don't know why. But when you start reading up on what actually is workplace bullying, then you'd see that I am being
Those are the
bullied.
signs,
So
yes.
you would never consider a person denying my leave as bullying. But when you start reading up on it, then you see that it can be bullying, especially if there's no tangible reason why I can't go on leave.
Right.
If we don't have deadlines, if we don't have anything, and you're also not giving me a reason. So I think it's more about knowing what bullying looks like in the workplace. Because in the school environment, now we know that these are the kinds of behaviors that constitute bullying. But in the workplace, we're still not sure, because even in policies, it's just written as bullying, and the behaviors are not listed.
Right. That negative exertion of power is not actually detailed in terms of how it manifests itself in reality. What impact does bullying have on its victims?
Sure. I think it's a mixture of your major depression symptoms and anxiety symptoms. So looking on the depressive side, people may feel hopeless. They may feel useless, because every time when you tell me I'm useless, to some extent I'm gonna start believing that I'm useless. And they start eating too much or not eating. They struggle to sleep. If you know that Monday I'm going to work, and the bully is gonna be there, then
it's the most depressing thing.
You don't sleep at all, and then people have killed themselves because they don't want to go to work, and especially as professionals, you don't want to go to Phindile and say Pindi's Sikhle is bullying me, because you are a professional. I'm supposed to be able to stand up for myself, but in the work environment it's quite different. And also looking at the anxiety symptoms, people get sick. So you would get your butterflies in your stomach, and you get your panic attacks. People get panic attacks even at work because they can't handle all the pressure that's being put on them, and which affects other areas of their lives too. So when you know that I'm not happy at work, and then you start not being happy at home. So it's all these symptoms mixed together, and then you see from the workplace it goes to home, and then your kids also, they see that, but mom is not okay, what is happening with mom? And then it affects all their relationships, and only up until they stop the bullying, then everything else falls back into place.
I think that's an important point to mention, that your negative experiences in the workplace are not just limited to the workplace. They spill over into all the different areas of your life, and it literally impacts the quality of your life as a whole.
Yes.
And your ability to function and enjoy life and living and seeing purpose in it. What makes someone become a bully?
If you read a lot of articles, they would say a lot of research that has been done shows that bullies are raised. They're not born. So no one is born a bully. So you look at their home situations, how they were raised, and bullies, they struggle with boundaries. So there's no boundary that we are at work and this is this, and this is work, this is personal. So they really struggle with boundaries, and where we learn boundaries is from our family context. So the way they are raised really contributes a lot to them being bullies. And also, if I was bullied as a insubordinate at the workplace, and then I become a manager, I repeat the behavior.
Right, also, because that's what you know.
That's what I know.
And so all of that trauma is still there.
This is being a manager, because my manager taught me that being a manager
is about, yes, absolutely. So if someone is a victim of bullying in the workplace, what are the steps that they should be taking to seek assistance?
I think firstly they have to know the policy. I know when we are given jobs, we become so excited.
You just sign the contract and you don't read anything else.
You sign the contract, you don't even know what time you're starting work. You just let that you have a job. And then we don't read your policies. So the first thing I think I would advise people to do, read the company policies. Sexual harassment, bullying, leave, maternity leave, everything. Make sure you know that, because I think people will start reading the policy when we are faced with challenges, when we are already in trouble, to say, okay, this is bullying, and then let me go read up on bullying. I think firstly we should read up on policies, and also know the procedures that the company has for you to, the procedure that you can follow for you to report the bullying. And then also when you report the bullying, make sure it's documented, because that's another thing in corporate, especially in the corporate sector, that if you don't document anything,
it never happened,
it doesn't exist. So whether you're lodging an informal complaint or a formal complaint, make sure that it is documented, whether via email, SMS, anything, just make sure it's there, so that next time when you lodge another complaint, at least you know that there is proof to say, but I've lodged a complaint 4 or 5 times. Okay. And also know your HR policy. What does HR say? And talk to your HR department. When you feel that you are bullied but you're not sure, go talk to your HR person and say, this is what's happening at work. I'm not sure if it's bullying or not, and what can I do?